The Jacob Markstrom trade rumors seem to be never ending, and a new report has revealed some new trade suitors of teams that could really benefit from acquiring the Swedish netminder. And no, we've talked about the New Jersey Devils a lot on this channel, and just as Flames fans in general, it seems like we're linked to the New Jersey Devils at this point, pretty much twin flames. No, in this video, we will not be talking about the Devils. We know that they're a major trade suitor, but there are other teams out there that could really go after Markstrom this off season. But before we get into that, I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe. If you want to stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around the Calgary Flames, then make sure you join the fastest growing community of Flames fans on the internet. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family. But like I say, we got to talk about some Markstrom trade suitors. These talks will be never ending until something does actually happen. And whether that's this offseason or it's towards the end of his contract, I think there will be a Jacob Markstrom deal in place. Now, the foundation of this specific YouTube channel was based on the trade season. Pretty much as soon as the channel started, Elias Lindholm was traded, and then we had the Hanifin and Tanev trades. We're still talking about trades. Jacob Markstrom, that's what's popping in the media right now. Here is an article. I know it's from Bleacher Report, so take it with a grain of salt, of course. But 5 offseason trade landing spots for Calgary Flames goalie Jacob Markstrom. This was written by Lyle Richardson today. And one of those teams, like I said before, is the New Jersey Devils. We will be skipping them. We've talked about New Jersey a bunch. Could get Mercer, Alexander Holtz, a bunch of other names going in. But let's start with kind of a new team. All of these teams have been mentioned before, but really realistic trades here. So let's talk about the Colorado Avalanche. They're in the playoffs currently, and they're not doing too shabby. They're up 3-1 in their series against the Winnipeg Jets. They are just such a fast, amazing team. And their current goalie is Alexander Georgiev, who in game one obviously had an absolute stinker. I think his save percentage was less than 700, gave up, I think it was 7 goals. And it didn't look great, and a lot of Colorado Avalanche fans were saying, look, if we had a better goalie, holy cow, we would be pretty much the best team in the NHL. Now, Georgiev has stepped up, has played a lot better in their 3 wins. Imagine if, for that specific series, if Winnipeg had Georgiev and Colorado had Hellebuck, it would have been a sweep, and every game would have been about 8-0. But either way, let's get into what Richardson said here. So, Colorado Avalanche, since Darcy Kemper's departure via free agency in 2022, after they won the Cup, the Colorado Avalanche have lacked a reliable starting goalie. They acquired Georgiev from the New York Rangers to replace Kemper, but he's struggled in that role. Despite a league-leading 38 wins this season among goalies with at least 25 games played, his 3.02 goals against average was 35th overall, and his .897 save percentage was 41st. So he can get wins, but that's what happens when you're on an amazing team. I mean, we see that in loads of sports. Think of really bad starting quarterbacks who have an amazing defense, or really bad pitchers who just have a really good offense behind them. It's the same kind of thing here, where the Colorado Avalanche aren't winning these games because of Georgiev. Sure, he can step up at great times. I think he's a very good, legitimate goalie, but they would rather have someone who can put up even better numbers, hopefully one with a above 900 save percentage. Jacob Markstrom could be that man. Avalanche GM Chris McFarland could offer up Georgiev, who has a year left on his contract, at an affordable $3.2 million per season. He could share the Flames goalie duties with promising Dustin Wolf. The Avalanche do have their 2024 first-round pick, but no picks in the second or third rounds, and none in the first 3 rounds of next year's draft. They might have to include a quality prospect such as Callum Ritchie, Mikhail Gulyayev, or Sean Barons in the deal. So really the only way that Colorado can make this trade happen is if they cough up their first round pick for this year. Now, there's a strong chance that could be the 32nd overall pick. They are looking dangerous in the Western Conference right now. But to not have any picks in the first 3 rounds of this year's draft or next year's, that is, a ballsy move, and it's not really helping your future at all. So it could happen for sure that Colorado could go after Jacob Markstrom, but I think other teams might pay a higher price, especially if they're winning a cup with Georgia. Why not just continue that? Now, let's move on to the next team here, the Detroit Red Wings. They're a team who missed out on the playoffs this year, and they really, really could have made the playoffs this year. Personally, I don't know why, but I'm just not a huge Detroit fan, so I wasn't sad to see them miss it. But if they had a strong goalie, they easily could have snuck in instead of Washington, or even been, higher up within the Atlantic division. I mean, I know that's a little bit crazy to say. The Atlantic is absolutely stacked. But let's get into what Richardson said here. So, the Detroit Red Wings came within 1 point of reaching the playoffs for the first time since 2016. The lack of a reliable starting goalie played a role in their downfall this season. Lyon, Husso, and Reimer combined for a 3.33 goals against per game, which was the 9th highest in the league. Yeah, the Red Wings certainly gave up a lot of goals. They did also score a lot of goals. That's why they almost made the playoffs, but it was a no thanks to their goaltending. Perhaps a deal can be made with the Flames for Markstrom. Stevie Y. Yzerman, the man with the Yzer plan, could offer Husso as part of the return to clear some cap room for his contract, while Husso could provide the Flames some veteran experience alongside the promising Dustin Wolf. The Wings must sweeten the pot. Yeah, it's got to take more than just Ville Husso. Yzerman likely won't part with his 2024 first rounder as it sits 15 overall in draft order. This is, of course, before the draft lottery. He might be willing to move his 2022 second rounder or next year's first. Winger Jonathan Berggren could be a trade candidate, and a prospect such as Nate Danielson, Axel Sandin Palika could also be part of the deal. So I think the Red Wings could offer up a bit of a better package here for Jacob Markstrom. They've got picks they can offer up. They've got some decent prospects. Maybe even one of their younger players could find his way to Calgary, but it's definitely legit. If Detroit wants to really make a strong push for the playoffs, because they are in such a tough division, they need a number one goalie. And Jacob Markstrom, he could fit in Detroit. We've seen he looks good in red. Detroit, Red Wings, it could happen. Now let's move on to the LA Kings, the team that seems to always pick up Flames' former goaltenders. They currently have two that they've fielded in the playoffs so far, Cam Talbot, and last night Big Save Dave had a decent performance. Unfortunately, the Kings did lose 1-0 to the Oilers. It wasn't Big Save Dave's fault. I don't know why he seems to have a bit of a resurgence this year, but I think if the Kings want to be true contenders, especially in a division that does have some tough teams like the Oilers, the Golden Knights, and the Canucks, they do need a legitimate number one goalie, because Talbot and Riddick could be really strong backups, or they're, semi-strong starters, I guess we can say. But what's certain is LA needs a new starting goalie after this season. Cam Talbot, David Riddick, Aaron Dell, and Phoenix Copley can become UFAs this summer. How crazy is that? They have got 4 goalies that could all be UFAs. With 12 active roster players under contract next season and a projected cap space of $20.9 million, Kings GM Rob Blake could target Markstrom. The Kings have the space to take on his full $6 million cap hit, but the GM must ensure he has enough to re-sign RFAs Quinton Byfield and Jordan Spence and fill out the remainder of his roster. Well, I think a goalie is a pretty important part of the roster there, and I don't think Byfield and Spence will combine to cost $21 million. But Blake could offer his 2024 first rounder, but that would leave him with no picks through the first 3 rounds of this year's draft, much like Colorado. He could draw on his first or second round picks in 2025 or 2026 as part of the deal. And it's true. I think the Flames do want picks. It's totally the best part of a rebuild, some could say, other than, an A1 prospect, but a lot of teams are never going to give that up. So the LA Kings, they love to have former Flames goalies. This could be another one, and the Kings really do need the help in goal. Last night isn't a great, sample of that. You have to look at a greater sample size of maybe this whole season kind of thing, because LA's a weird team. They could be very good. Is the goalie the problem? Not at all. Is there really a problem? It's kind of weird. They're not fantastic at anything, but they're not awful at anything. But they're not mid either. They're obviously pretty good. They're in the playoffs, and they've won a game against the Oilers at least. We'll see how that series does end up. But with Jacob Markstrom, they could be, arguably a perennial contender if they were to pick him up, because the Pacific Division is not that strong. So it's pretty easy to make the playoffs in that one, because the 4 teams that did make it are way better than the 4 other teams. Unfortunately, Calgary does draw into that. For now, just wait until the rebuild is over. Now, the last team we will look at here is the Toronto Maple Leafs, a team that always has issues that need to be fixed. When was the last time the Leafs had a good goalie. I'm going to say it was Johnny Bower back in the day. No, if there's any Leafs fans watching, they'll probably say, Cujo maybe, at Belfort, whatever. They've had some good goalies, but it's been a long time since their goaltending has carried them anywhere, and they could really, really use a Jacob Markstrom. And after their core 4 players, we saw 3 of them get into a little bit of a fight on the bench the other day. Marner was throwing a tantrum, and then Willie was not happy with that, and Matthews looked pretty PO'd as well. We could see one of them on the way out. But let's see what Richardson says here. So, goaltending has been among the issues preventing the Toronto Maple Leafs from staging a run to the Stanley Cup. Since 2020, they've gone through Freddie Anderson and Jack Campbell and are now struggling with Samsonov and Joseph Woll. Toronto has a projected cap space of $18.5 million. What? Toronto has cap space? I didn't even know that was possible. I can't remember the last time that happened either. With 16 active roster players under contract. Not bad, actually. Brad Treliving, our beloved Boston Pizza Jr., must re-sign or replace pending UFAs Tyler Bertuzzi, Max Domi, and TJ Brody. I doubt he will sign more than 2 of those guys, probably just one of them. Treliving could ask Conroy to retain part of Markstrom's $6 million cap hit. That could cost the Leafs their first rounder in 2024 or 2026, as they have traded their 2025 first round pick. They have no second round selections through 2026. Yes, Kyle Dubas loved trading away all of the Leafs picks. It seems as though Treliving is continuing the legacy Kyle Dubas left behind. Young winger Nick Robertson, as he struggled to crack the Leafs lineup, or a prospect such as Topi Niemela or Fraser Minton might also have to be part of the return. Yeah, I think Craig Conroy would ask for quite a significant return from the Maple Leafs for Jacob Markstrom, especially if the Flames are to retain some salary. Now, Toronto does have a little bit of cap space, as we just saw, which is kind of an anomaly, really, for almost my whole lifetime, really, with the Leafs. But Markstrom could fit in really well there and fix some of their problems. I think Toronto more so needs to fix the blue line. They haven't looked amazing over the past, 2-3 decades. When was the last stud Toronto D-man? I mean, a lot of people, Morgan Riley's really, really good, but I'm talking like A1 Norris contender. It wasn't Dion Phaneuf back when he was the captain. I'd argue that. I love a bit of double Dion. But either way, definitely all 4 of these teams that have been looked at here, Colorado, Detroit, LA, and Toronto, could offer a decently good package. And if Conroy thinks it best fits the plans for the rebuild/retooling, then absolutely pull the trigger on that one. Correct. Now let's finish off this video with the comment of the day, and it is from last night's video. Was a bit of a controversial one. It was talking more about something that happened in the playoffs, the kicking goal, and it made some Canucks fans a little bit upset. And you know what? You guys still won the game. You won in overtime. Puck don't lie. That kind of thing was great. But here's one comment from Razmataz DT. Razmataz, it's Rasmus Andersson. Your conspiracy theory about Calgary wasn't true in '89. The series-winning goal against Vancouver in round 1 went in off of Otto's skate. Now, I have 2 things to address here. I'm going to defend myself. Let's treat this as a classroom discussion, debate. Time for me to rebuttal. First of all, it's not my conspiracy theory. I'm merely just carrying on what other people have said. And the conspiracy theory was that ever since Dennis Wideman hit the linesman, that's when the NHL started to really go against Calgary. I'm pretty sure Dennis Wideman was not playing before 1989. Now, the other part I have to say about this is that you say the series-winning goal against Vancouver in round 1 went in off of Otto's skate. Went in off. You didn't use the word kick in there. If it went in off his skate, sounds like it should be a good goal to me. Now, I wasn't around in '89, but all I have to say is, look, the Flames won the cup in '89. How many cups do the Vancouver Canucks fans have? I rest my case. Sorry, I'll stop stirring up controversy with Vancouver. They are really, really good this season and have a good shot at the cup. But either way, thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you like what you saw here today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.